This is Happy Monkey.
This is Happy Monkey.
Happy Monkey. Happy Monkey.
This is Happy Monkey.
What's up, guys? All right. Welcome to the very first recording of HappyMunkey Podcast Show. I am Ramon, co-founder and creator of HappyMunkey. I got my boy here, Vladimir Bautista, co-founder and CFO of HappyMunkey. And we're going to give you guys a glimpse of what goes on behind the scenes with the minds behind HappyMunkey, basically. So basically, HappyMunkey, we consider ourselves basically the 420 eyes and ears of the East Coast. So as far as the cannabis industry is gone, well, quote unquote cannabis industry, because now it's an industry. What do you think about this new, I guess it's new, but this new legit thing that we call cannabis industry?
Yeah, because we were in it before as an industry, but now they commercialized it and
Right.
Gone mainstream. So now they just changed the terms, but it's the same thing. It's just different names and different titles. But that's part of what we're gonna explain to people about how it's always been this, and it's always been a culture, and it's always been an industry. It's just
Right.
they just made it mainstream, and now everybody feels it's okay to come out the closet.
Yeah, so all right. So the other day you told me some shit. What you compare this new industry to. You told me that something to where we first discovered America. Tell me that shit. Tell me what you just said.
So what it is that I've had to explain to people I have meetings with or other people that we work with, they don't understand what's going on in the industry because there's not really any money, and it's not really, it's not really an established, stable industry. And
but they hear all these projections, though.
Exactly. You hear projections and valuations and yada yada, but nobody understands it. But I have an analogy that I feel like makes sense with what's going on right now for everybody to understand in layman's terms. It's basically like when the Europeans sent Christopher Columbus and all those guys that let out of jail to come on this invisible mission that nobody knew was going to happen. And then they found the newfound land, which was the United States. And then at the beginning, the Dutch came, had Newfoundland, the British had Virginia, yada, yada, whatever. At the beginning, there was no money. It was just everybody carving out their territories and basically carving out their niches. And whoever had that down the line made tons of money. So that's what's going on in the cannabis industry. The rules aren't settled yet. The territories aren't settled yet. The niches aren't settled yet. So for somebody looking from the outside, it makes absolutely no sense.
Right. So what's happening is that basically everybody that's coming into this industry, they're carving the territory and they bring in whatever they were good at before into this new thing. You know what I mean? So if you were a good grower before, now you're a good grower at cannabis, right? Basically. So if you was a retailer, pretty much if you was selling on the block, and you know what I mean? Now you're a retailer. Now you got a dispensary. That's basically what it is. Everybody.
So now we gotta go into so people understand how we were able to, pivot into it. Like I'm gonna give you an example. Like me, I'm Vladimir Bautista. I was raised on 139th and Broadway. That's where I was born and raised at. By the way, FYI, me and Ramon went to high school together in G-Dubs. A lot of people don't know that.
Shout out to Dubs.
And then, so what happened was I'm giving you my first experience with cannabis. You know what I mean? We grew up, in a different time where the youth used to do things differently.
Absolutely. This is the 90s, guys.
And then, we grew up in a drug-infested area, and the only one that was okay that you wouldn't be looked down upon was weed. You know what I mean? It was the only cool thing to do that you could actually be cool with your friends. So my first time smoking weed, I remember I was in my friend Al. I went to cut school at his house, and they were smoking. And I was like, yo, let me see what this is
How
like.
old you were?
I was probably like 12 years old.
Look at that.
12 years old. So that was my first experience. And I got so high. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to go home. I felt like
What type of weed was it? What type of weed was it?
Oh, back then that was J and L. There was like this spot like on 148 from Broadway. They used to sell Nicks, the limo bags, the limo bags, and you used to roll like 2 joints out of a Nick. That's what we were smoking, and I felt like, and that shit was like you was smoking like fucking like Billy Kimber right now.
back in like what, 90?
That was probably like 95, 96.
All right, so I pretty much give you mine, right? So I'm pretty much, again, I'm Ramon. I'm pretty much like 20 blocks away from him. I'm coming from 157th Street. I grew up on 156th. It's the same neighborhood, same situation, Dominican background. Dominicans, by the way, at that time, it's kind of different because the old school people looked at weed like a real big stigma, but the new school, all the people a little bit older than you and I, they all looked at weed like it was nothing because, like we said, it was a drug-infested neighborhood where there was a lot of crack, coke, dope, that weed was like whatever, you know what I'm saying? But still to the old school people, it was frowned upon, right? So my first time smoking weed was with my boys, 156. Shout out to my day ones and all that shit. We smoked from the Jamaicans. At that point, the only weed you can get was from the Jamaicans. There was no real like exotic hydro, no haze, no sour, none of that shit. It was just whatever the Jamaicans had. So it was either some haraka, as well with Dominicans, what we call it, some haraka, some dirt weed, or some chocolate tar back then. You remember chocolate tar?
Yeah.
Come on, baby. So, the Jamaicans had the chocolate tar.
They really were the first real people.
Let's be real. Let's be real. Shout out to the Jamaican Wagwan.
Like the Jamaicans were the first one to take it as a career and make it and have it like their bread and butter.
Come on, brother.
And every big spot was owned by Jamaican. Every nationality went to them. Mostly everybody ever spoke to during that era.
Jamaicans, brother. We used to have to go down to the basement and cop. At that time, I haven't really smoked that. So I used to go cop for the other older dudes on the block. So he used to send me up the block, go to the Jamaican spot. I used to go downstairs to the basement. They had the little pool hall, all that shit. Yo, such and such sent me. They already knew because they knew I was from down the block and they knew I wasn't smoking yet. They knew it was the older niggas. You know what I mean? Go get the weed from there. But at that time, we experimenting, we smoking weed now. So I went to go get the weed for us. I walked down the block. We slept over my friend's house. I tried weed before, but I didn't get high. But that day we got high. So we went to my friend's house. We slept over, had like 2 nicks of chocolate, and it was like 6 of us, and we all got high, bro. And this shit was crazy. It was my first real experience with weed. The first time I really got high. First time I got the giggles like crazy.
What were you
First
smoking in back then? Because it was everybody smokes in there.
Yeah,
what was it? Phillies or Dutchess? Because that's what it was about.
Nah,
Garcia Vega and shit like that.
At that moment, we smoked in joint paper, but right after that, it was the White Owls, and then it was like the Philly era and the Titan era. The Philly Titan because the Titans were longer. You know what I mean? So then that was
my experience back then. It was either Phillies, Garcia Vegas, or White House.
Yeah.
It wasn't even Dutchess yet. Those were the 3 things.
Nah, Dutchess wasn't there yet.
Because I don't know, the paper back then was like different.
It was
you know what I mean?
It was different.
And I remember you had to be like, you know what I mean, like an older, more polished smoker. Like they used to smoke the Garcia Vegas and stuff like that. Because everybody else was just smoking Phillies and White House.
Exactly. Well, for a lot of people that don't understand, we smoked a lot in these cigars. Well, I know me and my crew did because it's winter time. You didn't really get to smoke in your house. We were like only 12, 13 years old. So it was very rare that you got somebody's apartment or something like that. So either you're smoking in the basement, you're smoking in the building, you're smoking in the roof, or you're smoking in the park. You're smoking, it's cold, niggas. It's winter more than half the year. I don't give a fuck what 4 seasons we got in New York.
Front here now, like everybody else does front. We was putting both papers on that thing because we was broke and we was trying to make it stretch out as long as possible. After we went on a mission for 20 blocks to get this nickel bag. We was not trying to let that thing burn fast.
You chased the fire. At that point, that's it.
What about those missions that people don't know that we used to have to go on pre-internet to find wherever, like through word of mouth, you would find out what the best spot was. Elliot, the Jamaican spot, 150, the bomb, this, that, whatever, through word of mouth, and you would travel like a fucking expedition.
Anywhere.
Winter, rain, sleet, or snow.
anywhere. Used to drive anywhere to the blocks. Then once the Hydro Haze era came, we drove anywhere. This is like you said, pre-internet, pre-social media. This has gotta be like, you heard they got the fire? That's
and
it.
In some way, somehow, everybody always heard.
That's it.
From
Everybody heard.
every part of New York, everybody knew where the fire was without any internet, without nothing. The word of mouth was strong back then.
Word of mouth was everything, and it's still something. B, look, even your man Gary Reed say that shit, bro. Everybody, the power of the word of mouth is ridiculous, bro.
That's
And
a
at that
example.
point, like you said, if nigga got that fire, the ballers come out. Celebrities used to come out, because I don't know, you remember that.
Branson.
You seen it on the blocks.
Look at Branson.
Bro, back in the 90s, even after the Branson era, that's it. When it was us, our era, we teenagers, we 16, 17, Rough Rider era, Rockefeller, all that. We seen all these niggas fall at the blocks, B. Let's be real. You know what I mean? Shout out to all them niggas, man. Let's be real. Y'all niggas talk about it on your songs all the time. These niggas used to flood the block, come to the blocks, and cop. So you only know that through word of mouth. You only know that through your homie, through your entourage, through your security. Somebody in your entourage told you, this block at the fire.
And no matter how dangerous this was, you're going to that block.
Yeah,
no matter what happened happened to you, how rough and rugged it is. Because unlike now, even in, I would say, like in the last 10 years, prior to that, it was like one spot like every 30, 40 blocks that everybody had to go to. There wasn't that many options.
Hell no. Especially the Haze era. The Haze era was basically uptown Washington Heights.
How was your
Dykeman
first
Base.
experiences like when you first started hearing about Haze?
Well, when I heard it, I had the luxury of being on the block that when Haze got into like uptown,
Mainstream.
when it got kind of like mainstream, I was already there. So in like maybe like 95, 96, we already had Hydro Haze in my hood. So once the Hydro Haze era came, that shit came with like,
it's crazy that before I found Haze, the closest thing I found before it was a restaurant in 140 called Mambi. And there used to be these chicks, right? And they had the $20 bottles of Hydro. Yeah. That was my first experience with higher end weed. They had the Hydro. Nobody down there was thinking about weed, and they were the only ones. They had the bottles. They used to be like a group of big Dominican girls, and they had their purses full of these bottles, like they were AK-47 clips.
Crazy. That's crazy, because that's it. Once that wave hit, that shit was crazy. That shit was like a high end. And then and I guarantee, because nobody at the time, for a lot of years, nobody understood why we all loved Haze, right? So it was the sativa weeds, because we all just kept smoking it 1,000 times. Nobody knew. You just kept on smoking, and kept on throughout your day, because everybody was keeping moving. It's New York. Nobody kind of like sat back and slept all day on the couch. You know what I mean? Like that. I ain't never do that. Like I went to high school high, and I was
my first time starting to get Haze with the older guys from my block was 163rd. I used to have to go to 163rd.
Those are my niggas.
And I used to go over there, and that was my first experience. Like, I'm getting in the car with the older guys going to smoke the higher end weed. And I thought I was so
the highway rides.
Because that was like the ultimate luxury version of the smoker.
Exactly.
For New York, like you said, for when we were broke, it was the staircase, the rooftop, the basement, and maybe somebody's crib. But then aside from that, the most luxurious way to smoke was in a car riding around Manhattan.
Absolutely, my brother. The ride around the world ride. Brother.
But where we come from, everybody doesn't have a car, so like, only the elite from the area has a car. So it was just, that was like a big thing. That was like you coming on the smoke ride was like a big deal.
All right, so the smoke ride, guys, ladies and gentlemen, it consists of it's two different highways. It's either you going down the west side coming up the FDR, or either or you go up to 87 and come back down. It's a smoke ride, baby, and you lucky to get that, especially in the night.
And we used to text
that shit was
how
crazy.
Good
niggas
somebody rolled was like, yo, how far along the ride going around Manhattan did the blunt last and all that.
Oh, crazy, B. Motherfuckers. The smoke rides. Then shit started to change. But then Giuliani got strict, and then the stop and frisk.
Do you remember that at one point it was just either Haze, Hydro, or regular weed in Arizona? That was it. There was no options.
There was no options. You didn't get no California
Then
weed. None of that shit was
sour
happening.
came along probably like in 2010, 2011.
that's when it
Drips
hit
and
big.
drabs.
Yeah, that's when it hit big. Yeah,
Drips and drabs. Then that became the first one. That became the first weed from California to penetrate the New York market, I believe. The East Coast that became mainstream.
And then OG Kush. But sour was the really big thing because everybody
the first
talked about
one, yeah.
the loud.
That was the first one.
But sour yeah. And it's crazy because, you know, in New York it hit so big because you open up a dime bag and this shit lit up the whole room. Like you ain't even had to smoke it yet. Like, you know what I mean? So that's why it was such a big deal. And this is sativa and it's New York and people like to stunt, and that was the weed to stunt on, right?
I remember that I paid up to like $50 when it first came out for like 1.8. For like half an eighth, it was $50 if you could get it.
How about the bag of Haze when it first came out?
It was 0.3 or 0.4, which is less than half a gram, for $10. And that shit used to get 5 dudes high.
That's what I'm saying. And we smoked it in a fucking whiteout or some bullshit like that so it could last, so everybody get at least 2 tries or some shit like that, and it hit better than the regular weed because compared to us, all we had was regular weed before that, right?
Exactly.
So that shit hit hard, you know what I mean?
No, that shit hit super hard.
Crazy.
That shit hit
was
super hard.
crazy.
And then after that, after 163rd, I used to have to go to Dykeman. Dykeman became the epicenter of the
Dykeman.
Haze.
Niggas can't front.
Academy,
Niggas can talk shit.
Post, Vermilia, etc. So that became like the hub for that, and you would go up there and find whatever block up there had the best haze.
Absolutely.
Because it was always one of them at one point that had the best haze. Arden, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was one of them up there. They had it
it was
on a
crazy.
more consistent basis.
All them blocks up there, man, get Post, Academy, all them weed, my nigga, all the weed, it should travel uptown, and we had it for a while, like for a very long time. It was an uptown epidemic. This shit, you had to come uptown.
Home of the haze.
Home of the Haze. You had to come uptown.
It got to the point where back then, if I'm not mistaken, you couldn't buy wholesale. People would come from Jersey, Connecticut and buy 50 dimes and 100 dimes and resell them.
Yes.
Because it was really like a monopoly. Like you could only get this from this area.
Exactly. I remember that little era, man. So it was basically from 135th and Broadway up to like Dykeman. That's it. That was the zone right there. You know what I'm saying? That's the only place you could get Haze. For what? I can't even there was a strong era right there, boy. Home of the Haze.
When would you say that that all the flavor shit started hitting hard, meaning like the Kushes and all this other stuff? That was more recently. I would say it really became more like New Yorkers opened up to all the flavors probably like in the last 5 years.
I agree.
Because
because
people weren't really receptive to it. Like, I mean, like you would see it, but it wasn't mainstream till like
no. It didn't become mainstream, and then really it was something that the youth
exactly
came in. You know what I mean? Like, the youth loved all the like packaging and like the new stuff. Fucking gelatos and the fucking. What was the Jungle Boy shit that hit hard at one time? That strain. It was just a strain. It wasn't like but it was like a Jungle Boy's hit.
Even that, like nobody even knew the names of nothing before. It was just the names of the weed. That's all. I would say that's probably like in the last 3 years that people actually know branding and
New
all
York,
that stuff.
Yeah, that was
New
more of a
York.
West Coast thing, man. New York people didn't really. The brand thing as far as strains and shit like that wasn't a thing yet. Like, it wasn't a thing. Nobody had brands. People just knew the names of weed, and certain people, went to California and shit like that. But not too many people. But now, 2019, brands everywhere. Who don't got a brand? Everybody a brand. I got a strain.
It's crazy.
A brand. It's just popping up. It's easy to just come up with a name and like.
Before you had to actually, people didn't care about names. It was all about how high it got you, and that was people were going by.
That's it. If you got the fire, do you have the fire? That's what counts. Like everybody just say fire.
So let's talk about how we came up with this whole Happy Monkey thing. Tell them about your trip to Amsterdam and how this really changed the narrative and your perspective on the cannabis lifestyle and industry.
Right. So obviously, me and you, we know each other for a long time. We got a long history. We didn't really start building a real friendship to like, I would say the last 6 years, right?
Yeah.
6, 7
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
That's when we really, So I'll say in the last 3 years ago, I went to Amsterdam. I took a Europe trip and we ended up in Amsterdam for a couple of days. And I walked around a little bit and I jumped into some cafes like a stoner person should do. It's Amsterdam, you know what I'm saying? So I walked into a cafe. It was called Blue Dolphins or the Dolphins, some shit like that. And you walk in and the shit looked like the ocean. The shit got jellyfish on the wall, blue everywhere.
crazy.
Like it really, really looked like the ocean. Like they went in, you know what I mean? And you walk into the bar, and I'm kind of, I'm out of, for those who don't know us, out of the two, the more introvert is me, you know what I mean?
Yes,
So
yes.
I walk in there, I'm by myself. And
You gotta sink or swim now, baby. I'm not there to save you.
Yeah. No, we here, baby. We in the building. So I walk into the bar, basically, I see them, they offer me a menu. I get weed, I'm fucking blown out my mind, but I'm keeping my New York cool. You know what I mean? Because I'm walking into a place where
Trying to act like you're not super overwhelmed and super surprised like this exists.
I'm trying to act like an adult because I'm walking in and it smells like weed, and I'm like, oh my God, they smoking, but they don't give a fuck. I'm like, what's going on? Nobody cares, and I'm like, all right, okay. They gave me the menu, and I'm like, all right, I see different types of hazes. They had different types of hazes. They had like silver haze, original haze, New York haze, and then diesel, and like weird little cushions and like all this shit. I'm like, all right, give me whatever. I'm like, give me some of this, some of that, some of this. They saw that I smoked in tobacco. Well, first of all, I got cool with the manager. The manager saw that I was from New York, so he was like, "Oh, New York, a little Arabic cool." I got cool with him. He saw that I smoked in tobacco. He sent me downstairs. Downstairs is more like a lounge setting, right? So in the lounge setting, I had to sit in these couches where it was like, square shit, like in New York, like, you got your own section type situation. And I'm sitting there, I'm taking up the whole couches, and I had to move to another section because there was another group coming. So I had to move and sit with these two young men. These two young men was probably from Italy, 19, 20-year-olds.
I want to know who broke the ice and who started talking to who, because I know you're not the outgoing type. How did that play out?
Nah, that basically I had to kind of say what's up because they're, like I said, they're young men. I'm a little bit older, so I was polite and I said what's up. I saw how they were smoking. They saw how I was smoking, so it kind of like we started talking.
Like organic,
real quick. Yeah,
natural.
it was organic, nothing forced, So
That peace pipe brings all the
that
guards
shit
down.
was quick. Yeah, that shit was quick. Nobody really had to force anything. I spoke to them for a little while. Then another couple joined us. They were from they were maybe from England, and then this other interesting couple who were from Iraq, ironically. And I'm like, you guys smoke weed? And she was actually like the one who spoke like 7 languages. He didn't speak any. He looked like he was from Brooklyn. I would have thought he was from Brooklyn or something like that. But she spoke like 7 languages, and she was like super outspoken and very intelligent young lady. And I got to speak with all these people from like different parts of the world. Mind you, I'm a nigga, like I said, we just said, I'm from 156, 57th Street on Broadway. You know what I mean?
It's like culture shock to the max.
My mother and father immigrants.
This is like ultra culture shock.
Ultra culture shock, and I'm smoking weed. Again, all this is going through my
Processing.
mind. Crazy. So I'm like, damn, I need this feeling back home. Because I know there's a lot of people just like me in New York who need this feeling and just need this sort of I don't know, I would say like some sort of like space in your mind and like your soul to feel it. So I figure when I get back home, how do we create this and how do we exploit, not exploit, but maybe tell the rest of the world what's going on in New York as far as the cannabis culture? How do we wrap that in? So again, me and you, we had to stay in the shadows, so we had to kind of call it something. So I kind of figured Happy Monkey. Why Happy Monkey? I've always been into monkeys, and sometimes when people think of alter egos, right? A lot of people think of like villains when they think of their alter ego. I wasn't thinking of my villain because we already come from villain. We already come from that. So I was thinking, a uplifting alter ego that'll bring everybody together, and you won't even
Which
see
is a hard feat in New York with the anti-social and the aggressiveness.
It's-
You have to have these things in mind.
Exactly. So it's
them
something
together.
right. It's something zen. It's something happy, and it's something like how do I get these people to feel that? And it just came to me, and once it came to me, pretty much attacked you with
So
that
you can
idea.
imagine, ladies and gentlemen, when he comes, you come tell me this. I can't picture this, but I'm like, damn, you know what I mean? You seem so passionate and so touched about it. I'm like, this could work, you know what I mean? And I'm still like have my doubts, but I'm like, you know what? We have everything to gain, nothing to lose. Let's, try to take this journey. And the shit just ended up going from one to another, and then we started going to meetings, and we started doing this, and we just noticed that there wasn't a voice for the East Coast and for New York in the cannabis industry, because before you came along and said that, I didn't even really know there was an industry.
Right. There was. I didn't even know. We didn't know. You didn't know. I just knew we needed to do something, and then it just happened to be that there isn't. And there is people trying to have an industry and trying to figure
This
things
is all
out.
foreign, because you hear about these things going on in the West Coast.
Yeah.
We didn't know that there's people trying to cultivate that here in the East Coast.
No, not at all. Not at all. We definitely know, and then we built this family, and it's crazy now. Like I wouldn't even picture how far we would come in like this little bit of time, because again, it's this industry, and it's in its infancy. You know what I mean? And
But the whole point is that it's about intention, and you just from a passionate place of love.
That's it.
You wanted to share this feeling that you felt when you were in Amsterdam with the world.
Yeah.
And it seemed impossible in rough and tough New York, but we figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out, because I felt it was a little selfish in one way, but I just knew that if I felt this way, oh hell yeah, there's a lot of people out there that feel that way. I just didn't know that an extremely amount of people felt that way. You know what I mean? Like,
it's like the dance floor. It's like everybody wants to dance, but nobody takes that first leap, so they don't see that first couple dancing on the dance floor.
Nobody.
Then before you know it, after the first one, the dance floor is full.
The dance.
Because it's just about that courage, about that first two people to get on the dance floor and start dancing for it to fill up.
Now, and I'm glad now people, they trying, everybody's trying, you got Norm trying, they're like an organization that's really like trying to push bills and stuff like that. They're not trying to like just bullshit and like, make noise and blah, blah, blah. These are people that's trying to push bills and stuff like that, because that's what we really need. For those of us who's trying to transition, at the end of the day, if we're not paying attention to those bills that's happening, then you're wasting your time trying to build the brand and shit like that.
See, but what happened is that I feel like that's why, I feel like even if we don't change everything, we'll spark the person's mind that will, because so many people from our communities don't know about these things, and I feel like through us, we're being the conduit for them to find out information about the bills, about the conferences, about the Canada gathers, etc., etc. So I feel like that, you can kill people, but you can't kill ideas. So now the ideas were born with us, but now people from our communities know that we come from nothing just like they do, come from minority background just like they do. And if we could do it, they could do it. And that is what it takes. That's because what happens is when it's only corporate people and the men's and the canopies, how do you feel when you're from a block and where we came from, that seems unachievable to you?
Exactly.
But now when somebody that where you came from is on the path, then it makes it feel realistic to you. And I feel like that's the big difference that we're making here in the East Coast, because I feel like people before us didn't think these things were feasible.
Exactly. And like one time you told me, my brother, we've done worse for less.
A lot worse for less. So
we gonna be all right. Everybody else gonna be all right. And as long as we voice our opinion, I'm just hoping that our people get an opportunity at this thing. That's it. That's really what it is.
And it's crazy how, as we gone along this journey, we noticed things. We noticed that there was no voice for the East Coast. New York City, biggest consuming city in the world.
In the world.
But they have absolutely the least media presence of anybody in the world.
Crazy.
And that's what now we're noticing, that through us, people are getting a glimpse of that
happening.
people smoked in basements, that people smoked on rooftops. We're not on skateboards. We're not on
skateboards.
We're not, you know what I mean, singing Kumbaya on the river. You know what I mean? This is New York City. We're in the buildings, in the, you know what I mean, in the trenches in Gotham City. You know what I mean?
Everybody's like that, because this is New York City. The typical New Yorker, just so everybody understands, typical New Yorker that lives in Manhattan, and forget about Midtown. I'm talking about Uptown, where you're supposed to be like ghetto, quote unquote ghetto, whatever the case may be. Got like 2 jobs just to live in that apartment. So let's be real. Like we living in a proactive city where everybody's smoking, but everybody's super proactive. There is no laziness here. There's laziness maybe if you're a crackhead or a dope head, but a pothead, I highly doubt it, because you can't keep up with the habit and the lifestyle that you live in Manhattan and New York in general and be a pothead.
That's why the New York pothead, especially in Manhattan, is different than all the other potheads, because you have to pencil this into your astronomical schedule that you have with these 5 jobs and these 1,000 meetings. So of course you can't go on the beach and surf and do all this shit. Nobody has time over here. New Yorkers have a lot of things. Time is not one of them.
Not one of them, my friend.
So it's just crazy how we started this journey not knowing that what we take for common and it's just like norm to us, the world doesn't know about. That, you know what I mean, that everybody feels the same way, from the billionaire to the corporate to the celebrity to the doctor to the lawyer.
Yes, sir.
Everybody here is a high stress city. A high percentage of people needs stress relief.
Absolutely. Everybody here needs this shit medically by default. If you was born and raised in New York, you should, like, by default be able to smoke, eat, ingest some sort of weed by default, fucking by the law. Law should just give you the right to, nigga. You was born in New York, nigga, here you go. Smoke some weed. It's edible. This shit is legal for you because you got stress. You was born with stress, nigga. Like, this shit was, like, ridiculous. If you was born in New York, you was definitely.
That's why I believe that when this really goes mainstream, it's gonna change the world, because part of the reason there's so much violence, so much problems, because everybody's high strung and high stress. So when this becomes mainstream, then you could go buy it in a bodega like some cigarettes.
You'll see the difference.
That's gonna change the whole
you'll see the
world,
you'll
all
see
the
the
conflict, everything. Because we just see how you just said, when you are in an environment like that, like you were in Amsterdam, how easy it is for people to talk to each other. But when you don't have the peace pipe in the equation, that won't happen as easier.
Especially un verano en Nueva York, baby. A summer in New York is no joke, my nigga. Like, this shit gets super tense. It don't matter where you at, whether you in Midtown, West Village,
humid,
Uptown,
everybody's
intense,
ready to
retarded.
burst.
Yo, it's crazy. Everybody's intense. The traffic is crazy. Road rage. It's too hot. Nigga, get off me. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
You know what's the other part that people don't understand, especially us being Dominican, is that in our culture, weed is looked worse upon than cocaine.
Yeah, in Santo Domingo, hell
no, and even the ones, the first generation, like they
the
come
old
here.
school. Yeah, the old school.
They don't.
Yeah, old school. They look at you like you crazy.
You're
like,
a drug user. You're a fucking crackhead. You smoke weed.
You're a tecato.
You know what I mean? So that's like one of the biggest challenges we have, to help them understand that this is like a medical benefit to people. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And people don't understand that Americans already you had to have that hump and help educate them to understand the benefits of it. To do the same with the Latin community is a whole different challenge.
That's a whole different challenge. Yeah, we're gonna have to show them one way or another, though. You know what I'm saying? That'll be one of my goals in life. You know, we were able to somehow, some way penetrate that community to where they understand, like, you know, like, this is not just a smoking thing. Like, you could definitely ingest it in many different other ways for medical benefits.
Because up to like maybe like I would say maybe like 3 years ago, in Dominican Republic, you get 6 months for a blunt.
Oh shit, you crazy. Yeah, that shit be retarded. You get caught with a roach, this shit get crazy. better pay your way out of that shit.
And that's where that stigma comes from, because they bring that from over there over here, and they believe that is like the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, even though right now, because I guess generations later, and you kind of like see it. They've been seeing it a lot in the videos and the artists, and a lot of people that have been deported out there. Niggas is out there still smoking like they here in New York. Everything's just wilding, but they kind of seeing it a little bit more often. But if we start bringing it in a positive light, it'll be a whole different situation.
It comes back to what you said over here when you said the new strains came in. I believe what's gonna break that is the new generation, the Latin millennials gonna help.
Yeah, the youth
are gonna help the older people understand that it's not as bad as it seems.
And little by little, we can do it. There's a lot of older folks out there that's trying CBD products, and it's better than them fucking prescription pills that get prescribed and all that. You gotta drink like 8 different pills for 8 different functions.
And especially Dominicans drink something for everything.
Yeah, so
Hey, antibiotics. Y'all got it from the bodega. For everything you take antibiotics. You got a headache, take an antibiotic.
Viva Peru or some shit like that.
So that's what it's about, to make it part of the culture, because over there, in the Latin community, even though it's gone, things have changed a lot in America. In the Latin communities, it really hasn't as much. That whole mentality as far as like, how bad it is and stuff like that. You're still gonna get that ass whooping if they find out you smoking weed.
You smoking weed, muchacho?
You're gonna lose it.
My mother's a strong lady, man. She was not having that, but we smoke weed, man. Her son smoked weed, man. Sorry, Mom. Though, I love weed from the beginning, man. I was a little young nigga smoking weed from the beginning. It went down. And that's it. And then, again, it started from love. Weed, it started from love. It felt great. It made me feel good. All this other shit. Then I grew older, found out we went through all the trials and tribulations that has to do with weed in New York City. You know what I'm saying? We came out.
How many times did you have to go through the system for 24 hours for smoking weed? How about those apples that people don't know about? People in New York
just
went
for
through
smoking weed.
For smoking weed,
Just
how you had to
weed.
go through central booking for 24 hours.
Oh, they don't understand that, my brother. You gotta spend 24 hours. I'll give you an example. One time I was walking down the block. I ain't gonna say what block it is. I just happened to I just finished buying some brand new Nikes Uptowns. It's summertime. Yeah, every New Yorker feel me. You got some brand new Uptowns. You walking down the block. You smoking half a blunt. Nigga come outside. Yo, what's up, my nigga? Boom. We smoking. Right there. Police jump out. It was maybe a roach. It wasn't even smokable no more. And, I kind of like ripped up whatever was left and threw it to the ground, like, and it was obvious, like, the cop looked at me, and it was undercovers, by the way. Cop looked at me. The kid that just came outside, he was like, damn, y'all just saw me come outside. So we telling them, like, it was just that roach. We was being honest. They threw us against the building, like, we was being, it was just that roach. I ain't have nothing on me. He ain't have nothing on him.
They had to fill that quota.
They had to fill that quota, my brother.
Those quotas.
It was like, okay, young man, all that is cool. Y'all gotta come with us.
Gotta come with us real quick.
And not only that, we were like the first ones to get locked up that day.
Oh man!
So what happens?
They have to put you in the van and ride you around. So they lock more people up.
See, niggas don't know about that wave.
It was. They were doing it so. It was like they were targeting urban neighborhoods to keep the numbers up and to basically have this funnel of people going through the system for 24 hours for smoking weed.
But we see,
because I'm sure I was talking with somebody the other day. It's funny we talking about this. I was talking with somebody the other day that lives in Tribeca, and the person was like, of course, a Caucasian, more affluent person. Is like, it's crazy that people had to go through before, because I used to smoke back then in Tribeca. I wasn't getting arrested and going through the system.
Yeah.
So that showed us that they were targeting us.
They were targeting us, and we just didn't know.
At an alarming rate. Yeah,
we were
it
just
was
going
normal.
through it. We didn't know the shit. We were just going
It
through
was part of life. Ramon got locked up. He'd be out 24 hours up.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Smoking like up.
That's it. We see him tomorrow. Don't worry.
Johnny, tomorrow's Joey.
Yeah,
it was just normal.
That's how it was.
But you know what? It goes to show that your
Crazy.
efforts haven't gone in vain, my friend, because Cuomo just passed today decriminalizing marijuana officially in New York.
What's the day?
Yeah.
What's the day? What's the day? Anybody say it. Everybody. It don't matter.
Today
It's Monday the 29th.
Monday the 29th.
July 29th.
Crazy.
And so it's like our efforts haven't gone in vain, because look, things are changing. Because, they were talking about it, but it's official. Like, nobody's going through what we went through when we grew up for smoking this
that's
amazing
it.
plant.
No, that's it.
You know what I mean? And
That's it.
and it's
The
crazy
kids
because
now-
it's to the point that some people, you know what I mean, they had to go for jobs. They had to go for different applications.
and you ruined it. And you ruined it.
For government jobs, and they ruined them, their records for just because they wanted to medicate themselves. It's crazy. And like you said, you look back now, that was normal.
That was normal.
Like, yo, boom, all right, once every 6 months, once every couple of months, boom, you got caught smoking.
Got caught smoking or some bullshit. That's it. I'll be right back. You know what I mean? I'll see you tomorrow real quick. I gotta go spend the night. And what's crazy is, like I said, that day, I went through the whole process. So for those who don't know the whole process, I went through the van process. I had to wait till they filled up the van, because that's what people don't understand.
They knew, they were sure, they knew guaranteed that by the end of the day they could fill up a van full of people being arrested for smoking this plant.
Yeah, for little bullshit. Because that was the main thing.
There was no doubt in their mind.
Everything else was a bonus. Everything else was a bonus. But they could catch a whole bunch of people in that neighborhood smoking weed. So it was like they fill up the van with that. And whoever else in between, they catch people with money on them or whatever else, or coke or whatever else they found, it was a bonus.
But the majority was weed.
It was smoking weed. That was the big thing, right?
When you get down to the central booking, 90% of everybody got caught with somebody smoking weed. Or had weed in possession or something.
The whole van was full of everybody smoking weed, right? So now they take us to the local precinct, which is if I got locked up on, let's say 150th, they took me to the precinct, the 30th precinct. Boom, they took us to the 30th precinct, and then they took us to the hub. They took us through the whole situation. They took us to the hub. For those who don't know who the hub is another fucking holding station that they take you before they take you all downtown to 100 Center Street. So they go to the hub, they separate you, everybody, and then they take you to 100 Center Street.
Think about how much taxpayer money they were spending on this, because we thought that this was going on everywhere, but it was only going on in our neighborhoods.
Come on, my brother. Crazy. We thought.
That's what I
thought that was everywhere.
Normal.
I thought that was everywhere.
This is happening on a daily basis in our neighborhoods. Because like you said, we either smoking in the basement, in a building, so it's so easy for them to catch us, because you know what I mean, we're smoking.
It's like we were cast outs for some reason for just smoking weed. It's like we were fucking being demonized for just smoking weed. We had to go and like smoke in the shadows and like feel like fucking crackheads and like dope heads, or like, and shit. Not to offend crackheads and dope heads, because we know crackheads and dope heads too, but nigga, we ain't that. We was just smoking weed. You know what I mean? So,
it made you feel like that.
Yeah,
they put you in that cell with them.
They put me in a cell with crackheads, dope heads, thieves. You don't know what motherfuckers was doing. I was just smoking weed, bro. Like,
and then we thought it was normal that we're going right back and you get out to smoke again, because it's just like, oh, this just happens to everybody. But no, it's just happening to us.
It's just happening to us.
Now looking back.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. That was just happening to us.
Or don't be the one. This happened to me. How about I'm going to cop at the spot, and then when I leave, they're waiting for me outside.
Oh yeah.
Boom. Come here. I know what you were doing.
I know what you were doing. Come here, young man. Let me talk to you.
I'm just trying to medicate myself. You know what I mean? Get my mind right.
Yeah.
I'm going through.
You didn't even get to smoke yet.
A ton of problems in the hood, and they like, come here. You're gonna make this quota.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got it. So it's basically like they were letting you purchase your weed to smoke so they could catch you
right outside.
Right outside.
Possession. And then they hit you with where you got this young? Come on. That's crazy. Now they want you right then and there to tell you where you got that from. What you mean? This is mine. Like I'm about to smoke this. I can't smoke
You
this.
crazy?
Like,
I need
no.
to come by and cop here tomorrow. I'm not telling you where I got this from.
You
This is my
crazy.
source.
This shit magically appeared in my pocket.
Crazy.
Officer, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like you bugging out. That's crazy, bro. But they was definitely targeting us. I didn't even know it, bro. We was just like you said, man. Every day woke up and let me go get my wake and bake on, and it might get dangerous just for my wake and bake.
So what do you see right now on the horizon for the cannabis industry that you think right now is like changing from then to now that you see that's a major change right now? What's on the horizon?
Major change horizon. Well, I will talk ideally and hopefully. So ideally and hopefully, not only me and you and like various other people who are fighting and trying to make it happen for people of I guess I wouldn't say minority because we're not minorities, but people of color, hopefully they give us.
You know what's crazy that you say that, but because of everything that you just said that we went through, every weed smoker has that in common, no matter what race or religion or preference they are. So we are a minority because every weed smoker has been demonized in the community.
That's
so you can say that the weed smoker, you can add it to the minority list because they've been victims of this propaganda on this planet too.
Yeah, man. So it's crazy.
But things are changing. Governor Cuomo passed this law decriminalizing it. It's not where we want it to be.
But it's decriminalized. You can smoke now.
Illinois just went recreational legal about a month ago. So things are changing,
Things are changing.
Things are changing,
They're changing. They did it in Nevada. They did it in Massachusetts. Where else they did it? Thinking like Maine, Rhode Island. California,
But it's crazy that I'm gonna take you back to this saying, right? That I'm spiritual. I'm not trying to get off topic of philosophical. There's this philosopher Joseph Campbell that studied all the religions and everything, came up with this analogy of
my man is a street scholar, by the way. Let me hold on. Just before you hit him with the 1-2 punch, my man is a super street scholar. Hits him with 1-2 punches. Go ahead, man. I ain't even. That's just crazy.
So I say that because it just goes an example of what we had to go through. Like so they were interviewing him and they asked him, what do you say to somebody that wants to make a difference on the world with all these bad things that are going on, war, crime, disease, everything bad that's going on in the world? What do you do? He told the person, well, we have to go back to the indigenous days, like, Native American days.
Yeah.
What they believed is that the world has always been a wasteland from the conception to now. Things are born, they die, there's tragedy. There's always been like that and always will be like that. The only power we have as human beings is for us to be whatever we wish the world was. And that's what we've done. We've been what we wish the world of cannabis to be, and that's resonating, and that's the only power we have. And we're leading by example, by living our truth, and that's the only power we have. And I feel like that's resonating with the people, and that's all we got to keep on doing, because you can't change the way people feel, what people want. And at the end of the day, like I told you, the whole thing with the dance floor analogy, people see us the first people to get up from our communities to dance. So now everybody feels like it's okay to dance.
Absolutely. Everybody get up and motherfucking twerk. And then on that note, that was beautifully said, my friend. We gonna leave you guys with that jewel and hope everybody gets up and dance.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, you're too blessed to be stressed. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Get high, live your best life. We'll catch you on the next one.
What's good, everybody? This is your nigga Ralph, trying to keep you fresh with the info from Happy Monkey every single podcast. You already know what it is. If you haven't followed us yet, follow us on Instagram at HappyMunkey_ or Happy Monkey Goodies. Now remember, that's monkey with a U. Also, if you haven't checked us out, we're on YouTube, so check out our channel, Happy Monkey TV. Keep us current, live, and everything with the culture.